Shang-Chi is now in theaters. It's the 25th entry into the MCU, the 28th project they've done live action wise if you count the stuff that they're doing on Disney+. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton and sees Simu Liu as the title character of Shang-Chi, who has been hiding for the past 10 years under the name Sean, living in San Francisco with his lifelong best friend Katie, played by Awkwafina. But when the forces of his past catch up with him, Shang-Chi must face against the ancient Chinese tyrant leader of an assassin organization known as the Ten Rings, who also happens to be Shang-Chi's father, played by Tony Leung. As I mentioned before, this is the 25th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. After the heights that was Endgame, they have to start switching up their formula and doing something a little bit different. We've already seen them start to do this with shows such as WandaVision and Loki over on Disney+, but if Shang-Chi is any indication, it looks like they're starting to do that in the movies as well. Because Shang-Chi is unlike any Marvel movie that they've done up until this point. It doesn't feel alienated from the movies that Marvel have done in the past. It still has the classic Marvel humor and a lot of other familiar things that Marvel does so well in their movies. But as far as the movies go, Shang-Chi is the very first one that really feels like they're breaking away from that Marvel cinematic formula that we're so used to seeing in all of their movies. As many people know, this is the first Asian-led superhero movie within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think in superhero movies as a whole. And what I found really cool about Shang-Chi is that it has a lot of Chinese kind of cultural elements to it, a lot of pathos, a lot of mythos that they combine really well with kind of Western culture. The character of Shang-Chi himself is very much a part of both of those cultures, so the way that the movie brings both of those cultures together into this movie and combines them is really what makes this movie stand out the most among all the other Marvel movies and other Marvel projects that they've done up until this point. And talking about the new cast, primarily Simu Liu as Shang-Chi and Awkwafina as his best friend Katie, they were really great in the movie. These two are supposed to be lifelong best friends, and when you're first introduced to them in this film, you instantly buy the fact that they are lifelong best friends. Their friendship and their relationship is the heart at the center of this movie. They were adorable, delightful characters that I really enjoyed following throughout the movie. And I actually really liked Awkwafina in this movie. I found that her comedic style worked really well with the Marvel humor that we're so used to. It allows her to really infuse her natural comedic abilities into the character of Katie. This is also some of the most unique action that the Marvel movies have ever had. Most of the action is all hand-to-hand combat martial arts since Shang-Chi is a martial arts character, and the action is all shot in camera. There's a couple moments where it gets a little bit shaky cam, but honestly not enough that I noticed it very much. For the most part, I love the way that this action was framed and shot. The only thing with the action is that there were a lot of CGI elements surrounding the action that sometimes took me out of the movie, because sometimes the CGI elements in this movie don't always look 100% convincing, especially when you have these real actors and stunt doubles doing these real actions, moves, and choreography in this artificial computer-created environment. But even the action sequences that do rely on heavy CGI near the end of the movie are so exciting, so thrilling, full of heart. This movie actually has a lot of emotional stakes involved in it, because at the core of this movie, this is actually a family drama. There is definitely action in Shang-Chi, but Shang-Chi has a lot of moments where the characters just sit with each other, talk, and the movie takes its time with its pacing sometimes. I did feel this movie's 2 hours and 12 minutes long, because we all stay for the post-credits, right? And I did feel like the movie felt a little bit long within the second act because there's a lot of downtime with the characters. But within that downtime of the pacing, you do get a lot of great stuff with this family, with Shang-Chi and his father played by Tony Leung. And Tony Leung as the villain in this movie, the movie establishes that he is a bad guy, but the conflict between Shang-Chi and his father isn't so much a physical conflict as much as it is an emotional conflict. And that was something really different and really unique to the MCU. The only time I can think of when they tried to do that before is with Star-Lord and his father Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But it was done much better with Shang-Chi and his father in this movie. And those who dive deep into the Marvel movies and the lore connected to them do know that the Iron Man movies have a little bit of a connection to the Ten Rings within them. And surprisingly, this movie does have some connections to the Iron Man trilogy that both shocked, excited, and delighted me in ways that I did not know that they would. And as I mentioned before, Shang-Chi really is drenched in pathos and mythos and legends of Chinese culture. And because of that, I did feel like this movie had a lot of exposition and a lot of information thrown at me that at times was a little overwhelming. I only saw this movie once. I'm sure I would pick up a lot more the second time I watched it. And in that way, this can be Marvel's heaviest material in all of their movies in terms of regarding its lore, myths, and legends. And I will say that the character of Shang-Chi, I kind of felt got lost amongst the rest of the characters in this movie. Shang-Chi is the latest titled superhero in the MCU since Captain Marvel and is is the first one in Phase 4. And the movie surrounds the character with an ensemble of other characters, which they're not bad. I really like the ensemble of characters that they surround Shang-Chi with. However, I did feel like the ensemble of characters kind of took away from the character of Shang-Chi a little bit, and he kind of got lost within the mix of them. There were just times in this movie I wish that we were focusing more on Shang-Chi and his character, really discovering more of who he is. Because I will admit, as far as character introductions go within the MCU movies, I feel like his is kind of the weakest. But it really doesn't take away from the enjoyment that I had in the movie, and I'm just looking forward to seeing more and discovering more of this character further on down the line as he appears in more MCU projects. Shang-Chi was a really good entry into the MCU. It feels very unique, very fresh, very original. This movie is very creative with its visuals and its world building. It actually has some of the best world building, I think, since Black Panther in the MCU. The humor hit for me, the characters were fun, the action was great and very unique for the MCU. It once again introduces a new hero into the MCU that I can't wait to see more of. This Marvel train just ain't stopping, and if you enjoy the MCU, I really don't see why you wouldn't enjoy Shang-Chi. What did you guys think of Shang-Chi? Have you had a chance to see it yet? Comment down below, let me know. I want to know all your thoughts and opinions about this movie. Where does it rank in your MCU ranking? As always, guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video and checking out my channel. If you like all things entertainment, movies, and TV, why don't you go on and click that subscribe button, click that notification bell, all that YouTube stuff, and I hope to see you guys again real soon.